Hey guys, it's on screen, off screen, back with another episode this week. Thanks for watching. We talk about movies, books, TV shows, all those kinds of things that we're watching and how they influence us. We're in the search of things that uplift us and make us want to be a little bit better people. Um, I'm going to start with my topic this time, and it's The Companion. It is a very, very strange movie. Um, Basically, this guy, you don't know if you don't watch the trailer, and I think this movie actually would be better if you didn't watch the trailer. But the main girl is a AI companion, an AI robot companion who has been purchased by the main guy character, and she gets traded like a select slave, servant, that kind of thing, and they're making a very heavy-handed suggestion of feminism and women being put down and all of those kinds of things. That's very, very heavy-handed. And there's another AI companion who is who belongs to this gay guy, and they make a lot of the same suggestions with him that the gay guy is put down upon and just treated like a slave and all these kind of things. And I think that they could have made all of these different points and had it be more powerful and more full. Instead, they kind of make shallow points and they shove it down your throat. And the interesting thing about sci-fi is when you have a talented enough writer that they can make a lot of these same points without shoving it down your throat. Like Dex Ex Machina is a great movie, and they make a lot of the same points about slavery and women getting put down upon, but it's written well enough that it's not shoved down your throat, and it allows you to actually think and allows you to actually to breathe. This one is just like, this is what you need to think. We're telling you what we want you to think. Think it. And it becomes more and more and more that way throughout the entire show, making it so it's not very satisfying. Um, the horror aspect of it feels more like a horror comedy, but it's not a horror comedy that's really done very well. So you have people getting slashed up. You have like a guy's arm gets smashed in a door. Not that horrifying. The AI companion girl who is kind of, you're supposed to feel bad for her, but she's a robot, and there's times where she's kind of a psychopath. So you don't really root for her either. She's not the final girl that you really want to root for, and she's supposed to take the place of that final girl in horror. So you're just kind of left with a main character that you don't really root that much for, a big political talking point that's getting shoved down your throat, and a guy that is like cartoonishly, uh, stereotypically macho dude who is like the big mean bad guy who's putting down all these women, and macho is not the right word, patriarchal, oppressive kind of dude. Um, and it leaves you unsatisfied. I don't think this movie is very good. It's not really one I would ever recommend to people, and it looked better than it was. I would give it a 4. It's not terrible, but it's not very good. Have you seen any trailers for this or anything?
Never even heard of it.
Okay. Yeah, it's just the trailer gives a lot away. It's a lot more interesting when you're watching the show and you think they're just starting out, they're going on a date. So they go up to this cabin and they're playing games. And then all of a sudden, weird things start happening. And then somebody tries to take advantage of our main girl. She's like, "Yeah, your kind are made for use," is kind of what he's basically saying. And she is someone's trying to take advantage of her, and she fights back, and this guy dies. She ends up slicing his throat, coming in, and she's covered with blood. It would be so much more interesting if you didn't know that she was a AI robot. It would be more interesting with the point that they're trying to make. It wouldn't feel quite as ridiculous, um, and the surprise of, oh, when he turns her off and calls the police would be a lot more shocking and a lot more fulfilling. But instead, you're just left with, oh, she's a robot, and they're making things about the fact that she's a robot. Okay, and he's asking her to go and make him a sandwich or whatever. Okay, cool. We get your point. Oh, now he's using the other gay guy's robot to go and hunt her down and convincing it's in love with him. Okay, cool. I guess it's just I don't know. It was not my favorite show, and it's not one that I necessarily would tell people to watch.
How does it rate on in the public eye compared to what you're rating it?
Let me look right now. I don't know. Probably higher. 6.9. It is rated. That's higher than I expected. Horror movies
So
almost never get rated that high.
it is technically a horror movie then?
Yes.
And where did you come across this? What led you to deciding
I
to watch
was
this?
watching. I think I was at the movie theater actually, and it was a trailer that played, and I was like, that looks interesting. The trailer literally looks good. It looks like a dark comedy. Looks like has an interesting point of view. It has an interesting idea behind it. Like there's a lot of aspects that look really good. I don't think it's very good.
Fair enough.
Like this review says it's like Black Mirror but bloodier and nastier. No, Black Mirror has interesting ideas, or they don't try to just shove it down your throat. They explore the ideas. And I'm all about ideas that I don't necessarily agree with if they're explored really, really well. This one just, in my opinion, doesn't do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, sorry you watched that then.
Me too. But I'm glad, apparently, I'm heavily in the minority. Most of the time, horror movies end up in a low 6.5 area. It's very, very rare for them to get above a 7 on an IMDb. The fact that this is that close is crazy. Because, it doesn't deserve it. Even as far as AI robot movies, I liked Megan way better than this. Way better than this.
Fair enough. I haven't seen Megan, so I can't speak to that, but I know there's a new one coming out.
It looks so bad. It is one of the worst looking movies I have ever seen. It looks so bad that I kind of want to watch it because it looks that stupid. Like it looks terrible. Anyway, let's go on to your topic. What do you got, man?
Okay, so my topic is The Pitt.
Okay.
You recommended this, saying it was very house-like.
That's how I felt.
Because I was speaking towards, like, House is one of the only medical shows I can really enjoy. Never really got into Scrubs.
Me either.
I hate, what's the really popular long-running one?
ER?
ER, no, there's another one.
The one that every girl...
Grey's Anatomy.
For some reason. Yes. It's terrible.
I cannot stand that show. So I was honestly very skeptical, not really high on my list to watch, even though you called it like House. House is just very kind of a unique show, and I had my doubts from that. Was scrolling through social media, and I saw a scene from it, and I kind of got to a point where I was like, I don't really have anything else to watch right now.
Yeah.
I guess I'll turn this on. Why not? This show is fantastic, and it's nothing like House.
Doesn't it have a same feel and tone of House? That's how I feel
not
about
at
it.
all.
No?
Not at all. Nope.
Okay.
I think the later episodes aren't super great, honestly.
Okay.
They do start to do things that isn't very in the best interest of the show, I feel like, or as like what the show was supposed to be. So for those of you who don't know, it's a medical drama. It's centered around an emergency room. Each episode is like 45 minutes long, but it represents 1 hour of a shift in the ER.
Yes.
And we follow along with characters who are first time in the ER, and you have a nice balance, right? So you have an intern kid, you have somebody who's a first year, second year, and a third year. And you have residents, 2 senior residents, and a main attending doctor for the shift. And along with the nurses and everything, I really had a lot of fun with the show. As I was watching along, I would watch an episode and then I would watch Dr. Mike's analysis of it.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know he did one.
Yeah, so he just released his first episode 7, so he doesn't have them for every episode, but I was finding it very interesting to see like an actual doctor's point of view on accuracy, things that would be happening, and you can tell if you watch those episodes at the very beginning of the show. Dr. Mike is like, "Oh yeah, this is super accurate. Super appreciate this thing. I love that the doctors made this comment. Like, listen to the nurses. They know more than you. You know, different aspects to that is all super great." And then they kind of do some other stuff, and even Dr. Mike is like, "Yeah, that's great and all, but it's not really an ER setting kind of a thing because it's an emergency room. So they're really just trying to stabilize and figure things out and then have them, you know, do the follow-up later." Like there's like an episode where one of the characters is just trying to figure this out. She figures it out, and then she's like, "Hey, now we got to talk about the follow-up and, you know, what you should be doing over the next month." And he was like, "Yeah, that wouldn't happen in an ER.
Okay.
They would, you know, figure it out, move it along, bring the next person in, because the next person is likely bleeding from the head and
they
needs
need to be
attention right
adjusted
now."
quick.
You know, so he very frequently starts making that point more and more in his reviews of the show as the show goes along. And it's like, yeah. There was a lot of stuff in from Dr. Mike's point of view that I found very interesting. So for me, it was, I thought the doctor was very out of line when talking to the daughter about the abortion. Because I was like, that's a family decision. You should not be pushing your point of view or desires to that family at all. That's way overstepping the boundaries. That was my perspective.
That's
And
what I
his
thought, too.
perspective, he was like, it was so great that he brought the family together, made it, you know, what a wonderful coaching.
Interesting.
And to me, I
That's
was like,
interesting.
a doctor should not be pushing a opinion to, like, that's between those people.
That's
That
what
is
I thought too.
up to them. They should decide what they want to do. So just crazy, and then, you know, some other things. But on the other side, you're following along. You gain so much appreciation for the healthcare workers.
Especially that one kid who just like keeps having to change his scrubs over and over again, like every
Yeah, like
episode.
poor kid. For
Poor
me, it really
kid.
hit home when talking about the abuse of healthcare workers. Right, like the head nurse gets punched out, and she's like, "Why even worry about it?
Yep.
Nothing's gonna happen." And I'm like, that is disgusting. We are physically assaulting people who save lives in a thankless job because we can't practice patience anymore as a society. That was appalling to me. And I think anybody who abuses anybody for any reason, but specifically those who are out trying to help, that is just despicable behavior.
Agree.
But like, on my own side, immediately following one of the episodes, I sent a text to my mom just saying like, "Hey, I really appreciate you. I know I have not always expressed that as a child, but you're a great mom."
I literally did the same thing with my mom with this show.
Yeah. So we're following along. There's no logical reason for this show to have so much depth and all this kinds of stuff. Like, you're talking about literally a 15-hour shift. You're following along 1 hour at a time, right? You don't really get to know these characters, but like, there's the birthing scene. There's, all those things. There's the nurse who's like super wants to have a baby and she's so excited that she's finally pregnant. And you're just rooting for her, and then she has the miscarriage, and your heart just like absolutely breaks for these people. And it's like, oh my gosh, yeah. Fantastic show. I really hope we get more of this kind of show, if not like a season 2 of this show. The writing is fantastic. The way it's shot is fantastic. The characters are all really well done.
They're all really well done, and I appreciate how real they feel. Like, you have that one girl who kind of thinks that she's hot shit and won't listen to anybody, but she feels... That's a hard character to write. That's a hard thing to write and become likable and feel like it's realistic without hating that person. I don't hate her. Like, I believe her. I see her being in that setting. I see her being the character. Like, she's really, really well written without being hated.
I still hate her.
I don't hate her. I understand her.
Oh no, I absolutely hate her.
And you've got the one girl
I also
who's
hate
like,
the senior resident, the guy who just treats her like crap all the time.
He's the one that I hate.
And you're like, I hate them both. I think they're both in the wrong.
I also understand where he's coming from, because he's like dealing with all this crap all the time, and he's always being questioned. He's like, I've done this for so... Just trust me. Just shut up and trust me. And I get, like, that's really good writing. And I like the one nurse who's really good with people, and how she's really good with people, but she also has other weaknesses. Like, they did a good job of not making anybody feel Mary Sue-ish. They all feel...
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Like, they have their strengths and their weaknesses, and it's really well defined.
Yeah. My problem with him, and it's brought up in Dr. Mike's, he talks about those interactions, and he's like, I think that's awful that he does that.
Okay.
Like, he should be willing to listen. And like, my perspective is like, they're both wrong, because she should be able to bring up her thoughts and her process and challenge, and he should respectfully be able to say, I understand, let's talk that through. This is why we're doing this thing.
Or even if you don't have time to be able to do that, be like, I understand where you're coming from. We can talk later. We just don't have time right now. I'm sorry. We got to move forward.
Treating people with respect, absolutely. But she disrespectfully treats him, and he disrespectfully treats her back. And I'm like, they're both wrong in that situation. Like, yes, they do feel like real people. There are absolutely real people like that. I'm not saying that. They are very well written characters. I just hate them both. My problem with both of their characters is, towards the end of the show, this is my knock against it, is they devolve as interesting characters who are clashing and become a character who was right and a character who was wrong, and neither of them really learned a lesson about it.
Okay.
Because they're like, oh, and he's a drug dealer, and she was right all along. Like, okay. So she didn't really learn any humility, and neither did he.
And so...
we really could have actually done something meaningful with these characters, and we didn't. And to me, the most disappointing part about that is actually the highlight of the show for me.
Okay.
Is the attending doctor. What a great example of great healthcare, standing up and fighting for your employees, treating them with respect, all this kinds of stuff, all while having the aspect of he's dealing with the loss of his mentor.
Yeah.
Like, everybody says, like, oh, he doesn't care about his patients' satisfaction. But, like, every time he's dealing with a patient, you're like, no, he's treating them so well. He's treating them so respectfully.
Even when it's being really hard for him. Like, there's that part where there's the animals on the wall, and he keeps looking over to it, but then he gets back into the zone, and he does what he has to do. And then he looks over at the animals, and he gets back in the zone, And I loved how they kept they literally, you could see on his face in the way that he acted, somebody who has a job to do and is struggling. And
Yeah.
so good.
But still
So
does
good.
the right thing anyway.
Yep.
But like for me, the highlights are anytime he has to talk to any of the other doctors.
Okay.
Right? Like I sent you the text that this was such a great example of holding somebody to a high bar and still treating them with respect without belittling them or attacking them personally. And like, I'm a boss, I'm a manager. Watching this show made me want to be a better boss and a better manager.
That's really cool.
And it gives a great example of how to do that. And he listens to everybody. He talks to them respectfully. He admits when he's wrong. He challenges their ideas. He lets them challenge his ideas. And then when the shit hits the fan and they're like impending emergency, he's still taking the time to be like, hey, that kid over there is a possible suspect. You need to go talk to the mom. Right? Like, what a high level of intelligence does somebody have to be dealing with all of these things? And he does it, and he never once takes his own crap out on anybody else, except for the one time that he does. And when he does, he goes to that person and he's like, hey, that was wrong of me to do it in that way, even though I was right. Like, honestly, if I was trying to teach a management 101 class, I would be like, hey, everybody watch this show.
And do what he does.
And do what he's doing. Because I have never seen anything exemplify that so well. And while we're talking about it, at the same time, we're getting characters who are making us love and appreciate our moms and our families and our friendship and healthcare workers in general and this, that, and the other. And they're dealing things with shootings and, you know, all of these very specific details. And, like, you know, one of the main plot
Drug
lines of the
overdose
show, drug overdose, an abortion, and, like, the importance of what our legislation takes on that and all that kind of stuff. Like,
a really angry guy who's just angry because he has to sit there.
yeah, and like, honestly, my perspective is if those people are in the waiting room, they probably don't actually need to be there in the first place. But like, if you can sit and wait for 8 to 12 hours for something, you can probably schedule an appointment with your family practitioner. But like, that's not for me to actually decide. What a great show. What an absolute great show. This is going on my all-time top 10 list. I absolutely love this show. Yeah.
Wow.
Because even
I like this show a lot.
criticisms,
It wasn't that high for me. Wow.
even my criticisms, it's not like I don't believe that guy was a drug dealer. It's like, I really wish that they had not done that, because it feels like a little bit of a easy answer to this situation. Where I would have preferred him having to deal with the disrespectful student and her having to learn how to communicate respectfully to superiors.
Cool.
Right? Like, that's my criticism of it. And the only part that I don't believe logically is the part where it's also him and he's talking to the special needs guy and he's just like, I just can't talk to him. And it's like, no, you're a senior doctor in an ER setting. You have seen so many people on the spectrum. There's no way you just can't do it. And it's just so amazed that somebody else can. That to me was like, there's no way. Even this guy would be able to talk to this guy and get through dealing with him and wouldn't be like, I don't even know what to do. I'm so dumb. Now, I think outside of the doctor setting, it's a very cool thing for people to look at and think in a different way, because us as people who don't deal in the medical industries probably don't deal with that kind of communication as often. So it's a thing that's for the audience. I find it hard to believe that a doctor in this day and age, right? He's not some old, worn down guy who's been, doing things for 1,000 years and is a little set in his ways. He's a fresh, young, 20-something doctor, right? Like, the spectrum has been on the rise. We're all familiar with it. We all have family members and friends who are on the spectrum. There's no way he just had no idea how to deal with any of it. Now, there were some stuff that I didn't think about doing, like shutting the door and turning off the lights. Like, everything she does is exceptional when dealing with that patient. I just don't buy how out of touch he would be.
Yeah, I agree.
And, like, that's such a minor criticism of it. And, like, the way that devolves is also just a minor criticism of it. I don't know how rewatchable this show is going to be because of the pacing and because you already know everything now.
That's the reason it wouldn't go on my top 10. I think the show is great. I really do. I'm glad you liked it as much as you did. I thought you would like it. But I don't really have a desire to rewatch it. It was a great watch for me. But that's kind of it.
Right, like, when we're talking about medical dramas, like, how often do I rewatch House? House is on my top 10 list. I've rewatched it more than that. I love House. I don't know if this one's better. I don't know how much more rewatchable it is. I can tell you at some point I will rewatch this show. This is definitely the kind of show that I would be like, oh, you haven't seen this? Let's watch this together. Okay. That is the kind of show. It's not just like a, hey, you should watch this. This is a kind of show that I would love to watch with people.
Cool.
Because it gives you so much appreciation for so much stuff.
That's true.
And it's so well written. And it's so good. And even though I feel like the last few episodes aren't as great, it's still exceptional. And, like, even the worst of it, I would say, is like an easy 8 out of 10 because it's so good. This show's fantastic. If anybody has not seen The Pitt, watch it. I highly recommend doing what I did, where you watch an episode of The Pitt, watch Dr. Mike's review of that episode up until what he has so far. It gives you such a good insight and a different perspective on things, and, like, some things that are gonna surprise you and some things that are not, and it's so good.
It's a great
such
show.
A good show.
It's a great show. I was gonna give it, for me it's an 8. It's an 8 show, but I'm also just, even House, I really enjoy House, but I'm just not that into medical dramas. And these are easily the 2 best, easily.
I think it depends on who you are. I think there's an argument for Scrubs. Like, it's not my thing. But I can see a place where that is that. And, like, for whatever reason, a lot of people love Grey's Anatomy, right?
That show has the biggest scene that I make fun of constantly. Choose me. Love me. It's the cringiest scene of all TV shows of all time. And I make fun of it all the time. I guess I could see Scrubs. I like sitcoms and stuff. I watched 1 season of it and I don't understand why people like it that much. I don't find it funny. I just didn't like it.
I'm right there with you. I totally agree. But for me, it's like I can see this is just not my thing. Right? I'm 100% with you. Medical dramas,
not my thing.
Not usually my thing. I usually don't like them. But when they hit so hard. They're so good. For me, it's House and this one.
I don't really want to rewatch House that much either, to be completely honest. I might like this one a little bit better than House, but it's close.
I think it depends. Because early on, House is good.
It is.
Middle House is not very good. Mid to late House is very good. Late House is terrible. It goes through this, like,
where this one you only have 1 season, and the one season is really good. Season, it's kind of not fair to compare the two.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, the highs are pretty close. House just has lows because it went on quite a bit longer.
Yeah, so you have time to be able to develop those lows and
Yeah.
go through them.
And they're also, like I said, very different shows. Like I don't see House in this at all.
I saw the tonality as being fairly similar.
I did not see that at all. There is no at all person. There's no Wilson to bounce ideas off of. There's no other group of doctors where they're trying to find this zebra. Like, the House is ultimately a puzzle show. This is not a puzzle show. It's very much ER. They came in, find the horse, fix the horse well enough that they can move on to something else. And there's no real, like, mysteries or will they figure it out in time things.
It's just, this is ER. This is trying to be as realistic as possible while being in a TV show setting.
Yeah. And they do a pretty good job with the accuracy.
Does The Artful Dodger count as a medical drama?
Yes.
Okay, I love that show. That one would also get on my list easily because I love that show.
I wouldn't say it's like a traditional medical drama, but I would say it's a medical drama. That one is a lot more in line with House than I would say this one is.
All right, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, cool. Well, guys, that is his review of The Pitt. Quite a good review. Let's go to our last topic, and I actually have to change all of my notes for this one because I wrote these while I was watching it, and the first quarter of this show I do find extremely boring. It's The Firm, and I was bored out of my mind for the first quarter of this movie, and I was absolutely ready to write this off as being like a piece of crap, boring, dumb, he's a cheating bastard kind of a movie. But the end of it, I think the story gets more complex. It gets a lot more interesting. Tom Cruise does a better job. I liked the mafia gang aspect of it. It was a cool gang with lawyer movie. I think the acting, everybody does better in the second half. The music is better. The cinematography is better. This movie gets better once you get past the first quarter of it. And it ended up being really interesting. I like that the wife, even though she's suffering, she doesn't completely forgive him, but it's also her husband, and she loves him, and she decides to help him out, even though he doesn't completely deserve it. I liked that aspect of the relationship. I liked the way that he tricks the cops and his clients and everybody who has all of these different impacts on him to be able to accomplish what he needs to accomplish. It felt very much like a James Bond type of a situation. All the enemies are against you, and what clever way am I going to get out of this problem? But it's all logical. It's well written. It's good. I wish the first part of this movie was better because the rest of it is pretty good, but the first part makes me not even want to rewatch the movie because I didn't like the first part of this movie. What did you think?
I disagree completely.
Really? Okay.
I think this show's fantastic.
That's what I think about the last part of the movie. I really liked
fantastic.
it. You liked it from the
Yeah,
beginning?
the beginning point is a little slow, but you're establishing these characters. You're getting to know them. And I feel like if you had seen this show when it had first come out, you would agree.
Okay.
I think the problem with this show is people have taken this same general plot and reapplied it and changed it and improved it, and you've seen those things. So you see the beginning part and being like, oh, this is so slow, I get it.
That's exactly
but you only
how I felt.
get it because you've seen the stuff that is being ripped off from this.
Okay, that's a fair point.
That's just my theory on that. I obviously don't know that. But that's kind of how I felt. But I was still very much appreciative of, oh my gosh, we have Tom Cruise as a family man and really trying to achieve everything, even though she says it's not what she needs or wants. She never asked for it. He's really pushing to provide it anyway. Like, what a human emotion, what a human desire, and we're figuring that out. I didn't like that he cheated.
Me either.
Like, I was like, this doesn't add. Even after it all ended, I was like, this doesn't add up for me. They could have had a fight about literally anything else, and I would have been a little bit more on board with it. But the fact that he goes from I'm not gonna cheat to immediately cheating was dumb to me. I could not stand it, and even the payoff later with like, oh, it was a whole setup. I was like, duh. But that was my one negative mark on that. Is this the best Tom Cruise movie ever? No, it's not. Is this going to be highly rewatched to me? Also, no, it's not. Like I said, we've iterated on this plot line. We've improved on it. Is it necessary in this day and age? I would say probably not. But it was a kind of like a refreshing change of pace for me and Tom Cruise.
He is different in this. He's a little bit different of a character, which is nice.
I think a quite different character. Him playing the lawyer is even different than his lawyer in A Few Good Men. I was very appreciative of his acting when he was doing his running action scene, because he didn't feel like an action star, even though we all know him as that. He felt like a guy who was really just trying to get out, and I was like, that makes sense. Yeah, like,
that's cool. I like that.
If this was Mission Impossible, he'd be jumping off of buildings and swinging between things, and instead he's literally just like running for his life and is often outran. He just outthinks his chaser from time to time. I was very appreciative of that. I was like, holy crap, what a cool acting, writing, direction to take
for a guy
this when you have Tom Cruise.
Literally famous for his running scenes.
Yeah. And his chase scenes and like action stuff, and there's no real big stunts. Like, the stunt is he jumps out of a building into a giant pillow. Like,
yeah.
Very, very cool. It all felt so human. The fact that he develops this plan and he's putting it all together, but it kind of falls apart just a little too early for him. I really liked that aspect to it. I thought this was a really, really good movie all the way through. I like that they took the time in the beginning to establish what kind of person these people are, even though they established it and kind of dragged that out a little too long. I don't feel like it ruins it for me at all. Having him be established as like this highly desirable lawyer was a big thing. On the flip side, right, I'm going to criticize it now again. The fact that his wife is raising concerns, and the fact that he wasn't concerned at all that this law firm in this poor city was willing to pay him twice as much as the next highest, or 40% more, would be like, okay, the fact that you didn't have questions about that,
it's weird.
Like, you're like a top 1% recruit from Harvard right now. You didn't have any concerns with this. You were just like, oh, they're gonna give me a Mercedes. How amazing. And then your wife, who you love and trust and established that you love and trust, goes up and tells you that, like, hey, that lady just says that they strongly encourage children. And she's like, how do they do that? And they're like, it just shows stability for the firm. The fact that somebody would say that would be like, well, if they're trying to put stability on the face of it, what is behind that mask? Because the fact that he didn't have any questions about that is the like logical question I have with his character. But it's necessary for the plot, so it's forgivable at the same time, because yeah. And then at the end you have the FBI guy, and he's like, is this really all you got for us? And he's like, shows off his math skills, and he's like, that's more than what you got the mobster for. on tax evasion, so you should be grateful. I'm like, are you missing the point here, Tom Cruise? Like, do you think the point was to just get the lawyers, or was he trying to take down the whole thing? I think he made it pretty freaking clear he wanted to take down the whole thing. Small little nitpicks there for me. Like, I thought that this show was very enjoyable. For me, it's like a 7.5 out of 10 because I don't know about the rewatchability of it for me. But I really enjoyed going through it, and I loved watching it.
Cool. I'm surprisingly at a 7.5 too, even though I'm way more down on the first quarter, because I love the ending of this movie. I thought the ending was great. Really, really enjoyed it. But that first quarter of the movie, I was not thrilled. Not thrilled at all. This would be an easy 8.5 for me if it wasn't for the fact that I think the first quarter is damn slow.
That's fair. Like I said, I really enjoy it. I don't know about rewatchability for me. That's my only real concern with this one.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, guys, that is going to be our episode. Thanks for watching us. We appreciate you. If there's anything that you're watching you want us to watch, we will absolutely do that. We're grateful. If you have any comments, want us to do anything, just let us know. See you guys.